Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Dafuq Did I Just Watch? With your host, as always, Kyle McLemore. This week we'll be recapping and reviewing the psychological thriller starring Alexander Skarsgård and Mia Goth. That's right, we're talking Infinity Pool. Now, before we get too far along in the review, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Definitely helps the show stay alive, and we appreciate it here at Dafuq. And if you haven't seen Infinity Pool and would still like to, make sure you pause now and return later, as there may be several spoilers up ahead. That's right, this is your official spoiler alert. Infinity Pool, both written and directed by Brandon Cronenberg, and if that name sounds familiar, you may recognize some of his father's work, David Cronenberg, who's done such films as The Fly and also Scanners, and basically anytime someone has a weird body morphing, like horror, sci-fi genre kind of movie, you can bet it's probably Cronenberg. Infinity Pool follows our main character, Alexander Skarsgård, who's playing James Foster, a writer who's looking for a little bit of inspiration in this island getaway kind of retreat, all-inclusive stay kind of place. There he meets his number one fan, Mia Goth, who takes him on an adventure outside the gates of the all-inclusive resort and into the real city. And after a tragic accident, we discovered that the authorities on this island have a very unique form of crime and punishment. They basically create a clone copy of you, and then you have to watch yourself get executed. Infinity Pool has a relatively small cast. The story mostly follows our main lead, Alexander Skarsgård, who you probably recognize most recently from The Northman, or maybe you recognize him when he played Tarzan, or maybe you recognize him from way back in the day as Derek Zoolander's original roommate. That's right, Alexander Skarsgård, you thought we forgot that you were one of the original gasoline fighters. But never forget, Alexander Skarsgård was once Derek Zoolander's roommate. Infinity Pool also stars Mia Goth, who is on a real upswing lately, who you might recognize from, she was in that movie Pearl and also Earths. She's on a real upswing, especially within the horror, psychological thriller genre. Keep an eye on her. She is amazing in this movie. I went into Infinity Pool with rather low expectations, not expecting a lot. I actually purposely kind of kept myself in the dark, not watching too many trailers. I was expecting just, a horror, weird body morphing Cronenberg kind of vibe to it. And was kind of surprised that that's not how it went at all. It was actually more kind of psychological, kind of like the real themes of hedonistic kind of stuff. A lot of commentary about the rich and the poor in these kind of resort kind of places. Also the themes of crime and punishment with really the rich elite. This kind of stuff I was not expecting and was kind of pleasantly surprised by it. Another bit surprised in Infinity Pool is the amount of humor that I found. Was not expecting to laugh nearly as much as I did. There are lines in this movie that are legit hilarious. Overall, I enjoyed Infinity Pool a lot more than I was expecting to. Unfortunately, one of the more lacking aspects of the film is Alexander Skarsgård's performance. Not necessarily that it's bad, it just kind of has this weird, limiting feel to it. This coming straight from him being in The Northman, which was a mind-blowing performance that he gave, to go to this where I want to say that most of his acting is just him freaking out about whatever's happening. So most of the movie is just him, what's going on? Which is understandable, but it's also got this kind of limiting feel to it. Now, having said all that about Alexander Skarsgård, we can say the exact opposite about Mia Goth. Her performance is limitless. There are no limits on what she's doing. She's hitting everything. She's being a quiet weirdo one second, then she's being kind of hot and seductive the other second, and then out of nowhere, it's she's just spiraling into pure insanity. It's a real treat to watch. Overall, all the acting throughout Infinity Pool is really top notch. I mean, nobody really gives a bad performance. Everybody's on their game throughout this film. Overall, we're going to hit Infinity Pool with a solid C. That's right, it's coming in right down the middle. Not the greatest. I mean, there was some stuff, lots of flashing imagery, lots of stuff that just kind of gross you or shocking just for the sake of being gross or shocking. But other stuff that did work, I mean, lots of the themes of rich and poor and these these all-inclusive kind of resort things. Very interesting stuff to think about. Also, Mia Goth, really unbelievable performance, and you can see that why she's on a complete upswing at the moment. It's worth it just for Mia Goth alone. This is a Mia Goth vessel kind of a movie. Now, if you felt differently about Infinity Pool, make sure you comment down below, and if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It definitely helps the show stay alive. I am your host, as always, Kyle McLemore, and we'll see you next time at the movies.